I don't know about you, but this has got to be the busiest week of the year. We've had family Christmas dues, works dues, even duck dues. And this is my one window of opportunity to get out camping. And it dumps this on me. But it beats sitting at home watching The Grinch. That wind is a little bit tasty today. Those clouds are moving like a time lapse. We're forecast gusts of 40 plus up on the top, so I'm hoping to get the tent nestled behind some rocks. That's the plan anyway. I don't reckon I'll be pitching here tonight. Max gust 27.6. Come on, let's go and find a big rock. Like a jet wash. Definitely no cobwebs left though. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Oh, perfect. Couldn't have asked for a better spot. This big old lump is keeping all the wind off me. Happy days. I'm happy with that. Step a few yards out. Whew. Out of the elements. Give myself a bit of room so I can get my wet gear off without getting me inner tent all damp as well. It's just a little bit of that tarp that failed on me a month or two back. Recycled it, chopped it up, made a few ground sheets. Glad to be in here. Pretty ropey out there. It's like Doc Cotton's laundrette in here. T-shirt and thin fleece just drying out. They're not that wet actually, but do get a little bit damp inside when you're wearing your waterproofs. So the rain jacket I've had on again today is the Keeler Stratos, I think. So on my way up here I put a post out on the YouTube community page asking for a few questions, and there's been a few questions about waterproofs. One about that jacket. So Ashley Brooks has asked what is the best rain jacket that I've tried that isn't Gore-Tex. Well, I'll use different ones for different situations, so if it's not really going to bung it down and it's cold weather, I'll use my Apparel jacket. If it's light showers and it's warm weather, I'll use my Outdoor Research helium jacket. But I watched a really interesting video about Gore-Tex the other day. I will put a link in the description about all this marketing hype. The original Gore-Tex, the patent ran out back in 1998, and they seem to have everybody by the short and curlies, when the materials that they're using now are not really that much better than some of the other in-house manufacturers. So if you check that video out, you might have second thoughts when it comes to buying Gore-Tex. Someone's asked waterproof trousers and jacket or a poncho. So again, depends on the situation. If I know, like today, it's going to be absolutely bunging it down from the start, I'm just going to put me waterproof trousers and coat on from the beginning. This one's been developed for the mountain rescue team, so it's heavy duty stuff. I've had it a couple of years and I only really bring it out in the colder winter months. I've got a few little mods to test out today. First one, really simple, is just a bit of Guyline on the end to the zip. Getting right into that corner can be a pain sometimes, and to unzip now I can just pull this up, and if I need to get out really quickly. Because it's going to be really windy tonight, I've made some additional Guylines, so I'm going to pop out, clip them on, and get the hatches battened down, shall we say. Just a 1.8mm Dyneema carabiner on the end, and then I've just put a little line lock on and clip them onto the existing loops. I've made these really long, probably a bit too long. Let's move that round a little bit now. This is like a limpet now. Beast mode. Yeah, these are really easy to make. Amazon. I think that was eBay. I will put the links in the description, along with all the other gear that I'm using today. It's boiling the bag time. Chicken and potatoes. Yep, I might die because I'm having a carbohydrate. And it's Christmas week, so I'm going to have a beer with you as well. In fact, I'm going to crack that open now. Cheers everyone. Merry Christmas. Yeah, there'll be one or two people telling me how I'm falling off the wagon and all that kind of stuff, but you know, I've made some changes and I'm eating better, I'm drinking less, I'm trying to be more active as well. But I'm not a monk. I need to have a life as well. Can't live off celery. Forgot my plate. I'm always forgetting something these days. Just going to eat it out of the bag. Only tinned potatoes, but cooked the chicken breast, sliced it up, made a bit of gravy. There we go. Can't beat a bit of gravy. Although I'm wearing some of it. I enjoyed that. So it's only just gone 10 to 5. Good. It's going to be a long time in here. It's not pleasant out there, although it stopped raining and the wind's dropped off a little bit around here anyway. It's quite foggy out here now. You can see the tent, but you can barely see the rock. There's a rock just over there as well. Get some light on it. Just about make it out on full beam. That is solid as a rock. Look what I remember today. Pillows. Right, it's question time again. So another creepy story says, what's my thoughts on Michael Beale as the Sunderland head coach? unimpressed, but we'll see how that one goes, mate. And Stephen, below average wild camper, wants to know if I've recovered from the Bristol City result. Yep, it's definite downer compared to the Leeds result midweek, but we shall see. But he's got 2 questions. So he's put red label or black label when it comes to, is that required in the UK? So red label and black label are like the top 2 when it comes to Hilleberg tents. The black label's the super strong one, and the red label is the super strong one as well. There's not a lot in it, to be honest with you. However, I've ordered the 10mm poles for this tent, and they've been stuck at Stamford, Lifforth, UPS warehouse for the last 5 days, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. Yeah, I was hoping to use them tonight, but I think it's all down to personal preference. If you're happy to carry that little bit more, then, and if it gives you that peace of mind and security, then that's fine. I've had my red label solo in all sorts of conditions, and it never let me down. As long as you pitch it correctly, I don't think it's going anywhere. But then again, I've ordered 10mm poles for this because this isn't quite as robust, hence the extra guylines that I've put on today. I'll leave that up to you, mate. But you've also said that you're a MLD fanboy and you love your Duomid, and I didn't seem to get on with mine. What didn't I like about it? First time I went out in it, proper rain, it leaked for starters, so I was on a downer straight away. I paid for MLD to seam seal it for me, and water was dripping in, and I got water on my sleeping bag. I was really frustrated by it, and I think there's an old saying, isn't there? You know, first impressions and all that. And I was on a downer from day one, and I was probably looking for faults in it after that. I didn't think, considering the size of the footprint, the space inside was that good, if you know what I mean, the usable space. You still had to sit right in the middle, and your pole was right in the middle, and gets in the way of the door a little bit, so it just wasn't for me at the end of the day. I thought it was more of a ball ache to pitch, but again, it's horses for courses, each to their own when it comes to tent choices. What I like might be completely different to somebody else. I've got much lighter tents, I've got bigger tents than this one, but this is the tent that I'm enjoying using at the moment. So it's, as long as you're getting out and enjoying yourself, I think that's the important thing, more so than the gear that you're using. As long as it's up to the job, keep you safe, keep you dry, that's all you need really. So Rick GB has asked, what is the one camping gadget that I couldn't live without? So I've got lots really, to be honest. It's difficult. So this is the Flex Tail tiny pump, so that inflates my sleeping pad, and it acts as a lantern, which I need for filming with as well sometimes. I've got another lantern up there, although I don't need both on at one, but I can live without this. My power banks. So last camp I bought one power bank, 10,000 milliamps, wasn't this one, and it ran out, so next morning I had about 12% left on my phone, so managed to get okay with all my filming stuff, but my phone was about dead till I got home. So I do need to have a power bank with me as well. But the one thing that, is it a gadget? A stove? So I did a camp a few months back where I didn't bring a stove with me, and I regretted it because I really missed my hot drink in the morning. And I'd say that is the one item that I can't live without. I could go camping without a power bank if I needed to, but I wouldn't be filming very much. I don't need to blow my sleeping pad up with a fancy pump. I've got a head torch, so I don't need a lantern. There's a head torch, a gadget. Yeah, I need one of those as well. So there's lots of little things in your gear that makes the setup so you've got a comfortable night. You know, they're not all gadgets, but pillows. Last week I didn't have a pillow, and I paid the price for it. I had a rubbish night's sleep. The whole fun for me has been about just tweaking my setup till I've got things just as I want them, and usually that's the point where I buy something else and try something different. Forgot to mention my DAB radio.
But what we love about Wilder is You know, and he's, I think, what is he, 38, 39 years of age?
Not really a fan of boxing though. But, yeah, this is great company. You know, when you're spending long nights in your tent on your own. I still think you can get this radio, although I'm assuming there'll be better ones nowadays. This is 4 or 5 year old. But I've not seen the leather case anywhere for a long time. Some people say that camping's meant to be rough and you're not supposed to have any sort of luxuries, but why not? You know, if it's your hobby and you enjoy it and you enjoy being out in the wild, why not have a radio, or why not have a little lantern? You know, it's your money. You go to work, you work hard, spend it on what you want. Right, I've been asked loads of questions about these boots. So these are the Vivo Barefoot Forest Escapes. So Bob Lobster is asking for a real-time report on the footwear. Nick Santo has been asking about hiking boots as well. Expat Biker. Lee's Lost has asked how I found transitioning from zero drop ultras to the Barefoots. So yeah, quite a lot of interest really. So these boots are zero drop, which means that there is no wedge. It's like a horizontal line from your heel to the front ball of your foot. Barefoot means that there's very minimal sole underneath. There's no cushioning or anything like that, although these have got quite a thick grippy sole on them. They're made by Michelin's, but they're a very flexible bendy boot, so even with all that sole on them you can more or less fold them in half. But that allows me to feel the ground underneath, so that can be a good thing and a bad thing. So after about 6 miles of walking, you know, I start to feel a little bit of, not hurting, but like the bottom of your feet have had a bit of a workout. But on the other hand, or on the other foot, yeah, I can sort of feel what's happening underneath me on the ground. So, you know, I've not rolled an ankle since I've had these. I've had the odd little tiny skid where the ground's actually given way from me, but I can react straight away. I can, you know, it's really weird. So, you know, when you put your hands on a rock, your hand sort of goes around the rock a little bit. Well, this allows your feet to go around the rock a little bit. It's not something you can just jump into straight away. So I've been around 6 months now, exclusively on zero drop shoes, but also I've had a wide toe box as well, which means that there's plenty of room for my toes to spread out. So if I put my bare feet on the floor at home now, you know, my toes are starting to spread out a little bit. It looks a little bit strange, but I'm feeling that's how my feet should be. You know, we're the only species on Earth that chooses to put shoes on, and some of the fashion items that we tend to wear now, they're squashing your toes up. So, you know, I used to have, like, on my little toe, used to have like a little wedge where my toe was getting squashed into the end of more pointy, cramped toe boxes. But now my feet have actually grown, so they're bigger, so they're naturally spreading out, the bones are spreading out, my feet are getting stronger, my ankles are getting stronger. But yeah, you do need to break them in. So when I first went on to the Ultras, because I'm using my feet and my mechanics a different way, my calves were hurting more, but calves have got stronger now. Like I said, ankles and Achilles and stuff like that's got stronger. So I feel it's a much more natural way to walk for me. I'm not saying that they're for everybody. Some of the benefits that I've had is that I've got much reduced knee pain. So every now and again, if I've done long hikes, I'll still get the odd little twinge on my knee, but it used to be every time coming downhill that I was suffering with knee pain, and I'm not getting that now. Hip pain's the same, so you know, I was getting pain in my hips, so it just feels like things have aligned a little bit better, for me anyway. I don't know if it's the Barefoot or if it's the zero drop, so I was noticing benefits with just the Ultras. So whether Barefoot is necessary or not, I don't know, but that's the route that I've chosen to go down, and we'll see how we go with it. The only problem I've got is I've got no dress shoes anymore. So if I go to the pub, I'm wearing a pair of, I've got some of the black ones, Forest Tracker. I don't think it's quite the same. It's got like a elasticated cuff with them. I can't remember what that model is, but they're my pub shoes now. My feet are feeling much better for it, but the knees were the big thing for me, and it seems to be helping. So, but I wouldn't go straight from normal shoes to the barefoot. I think the important thing is being able to get your toes and stuff to spread out in a zero drop. So something like an Ultra. I think there's others that do zero drop as well. I think Hoka do one which is, I don't think it's zero drop, but it's about 4 degrees. So you can transition your way down, but I just went to the Ultras, loved them, and the Vivo was the next stage. I've not tried any other brands yet, and if any of you guys have, let me know how you've got on with them. Second one of the night. I've only brought 2 with me. It's quite mild tonight. It's supposed to be 10 degrees. I've not checked the temperature, but no need for a coat in here. Steve Parkinson, will you get together with Patrick Dickinson? I'd love to even just go and have a pint with him. He's a very, very interesting bloke. He's just had a video out this week. I've not watched all of it yet, to be honest. It's been a very busy week. But yeah, I'm sure I'll bump into him one day, but I'd love to go camping with him, but I think Pat's one of these fellas that likes to keep himself to himself. But if you can persuade him to let me join him, I'd love to get him on the podcast and have a chat, because some of his stories are brilliant. Some of the things that and ideas that he comes up with and places he explores are a different level. There's been a couple of questions about the Power Mode jacket. Dave and Emma Outdoors has asked how the Power Mode jacket's doing. So I've got 2. I've got the Velez Adventure Light, and I've got the Keto, which is the orange one, which I wear the most, because I like the fact that it zips all the way down, and it's got large pit zips as well. I really do like Paramore coats, but it's got to be really cold for me to wear them. Anything above 5 degrees and they're a little bit warm for me, but I find that they're the most comfortable to wear all day. They're not really crunchy and crackly like a Gore-Tex or membrane sort of waterproof. But yeah, I really like them, and both of mine are about 10 years old and they're still going strong, so they'll last forever. You can repair them, because the way it is, it's not a membrane. So if you get a little rip in them or something, you can just stitch them up and they'll still work perfectly fine. So Mark Bailey wants to know, when are you going to do the winter OEX Bobcat video? I'm not going to, Mark. I think things have changed a little bit. I just want to come camping and use the gear that I want to use. I'm not going to be buying loads and loads of new gear all the time. Yep, I've said it out loud. There will be some things that I buy that I'm intrigued about and that I'd like to try, but I've got loads and loads of better tents than the Bobcat one, and like today, it was hard work. This is my only opportunity to come out, and so why would I want to choose a tent that isn't as good as some of the other ones that I've got? I wouldn't have as much room as I've got now. I wouldn't have as much comfort. So yeah, it's just down to, I'm going to make the most of my opportunities with the gear that I've got. So the Bobcat, I've still got it, but I'm going to get rid of it. I don't know how yet. Might sell it, might give it away. We shall see. I've got way too many tents now. I'm actually going to raffle one off. So by the time this video goes out, there'll be a raffle for one of the Terra Nova tents. I'm not decided which one yet, but I've got quite a few of them, and although I do love them all, I'm not using them all. You can only come camping with one tent, can't you? So yeah, I'm choosing the ones that I like the best. So sorry, Mark. So Grant Horner wants to know what my thoughts are on footprints and secondly, modding tents to attach them permanently. So if I've got a footprint, I tend to use it. It does prolong the life of your tent. It does give you a little bit more protection. So you don't want your ground sheet wearing out, because when you're moving around, when you're laid on it, when you're sitting on it, you're going to be potentially rubbing your ground sheet on rocks or twigs or whatever it would be that could damage your ground sheet of the tent. So if you put a footprint underneath, you've got that extra layer of protection. It also creates a barrier as well between the moist ground underneath. So I think it will help with reducing condensation as well. It reduces the chance of getting any sort of moisture in your tent. Obviously it does add a little bit of extra weight to your tent. I have actually not modded as such, I've not sewn anything, but I've used a little bit of like paracord or something just to connect them to the ends of my tent, so they're already in place. I've done that with a couple of my Terra Nova tents before, because they've got just like a bungee loop on theirs. So you can use a little bit of string or a bit of bungee, just tie them to where you want them to be fitted, and your footprint's already in place. I would like to get one for this tent, but I think they're about £100 or something silly like that, and can't justify that at the moment. So I might just use a tarp, or I've got some Tyvek that would actually do for this. So I might have to do a little bit of creative, not sewing, probably be duct tape and a couple of elastic bands or something, knowing me. So Sam Space and Walk with Wallace. How's it going, mate? Merry Christmas. I've asked about if I've got any plans for multi-day longer trips in 2024. And I haven't yet. There's something that's in the pipeline. I think it's in September time it's Helvellyn. It's like doing the mileage to base camp or mileage to Everest or something like that. So it means like going up and down Helvellyn several times. It's a team event, so I'm looking at doing that with Chris Cleave, Andy from Backpack in UK, and there's another one, but it's not confirmed with me yet, so I won't shout his name out. Solo Sarah B, congratulations on getting over 1,000 subs. What's the best advice anyone has ever given you? Ah dear, it's going to have to be my lovely wife. When I was deciding whether or not to do this full time, she said to me that follow your dreams and I'll support you. Follow your dreams, and that's the advice that I wish I'd had when I was 18, just to follow your dreams. I tell my kids now that they're younger to follow their dreams rather than be a bank manager or be a car salesman or that kind of thing. I want them to work hard, and life's not gifted to you on a plate. You've got to make your own way in life, but it's so much more fun when you're following your dreams. I don't miss factory life and that kind of thing. I feel like this is what I was meant to do. There's absolutely loads of questions. This could be like a 4-hour video if I did them all. Who's your favourite YouTuber? Also, what is your biggest inspiration that keeps you smashing the mountain and wild camping hikes? Favourite YouTuber? Well, that's a tough one if I could only have one. I think the one YouTuber that has inspired me the most to do what I'm doing now has got to be Dean Reed. Dean Reed, he still bobs one out every now and again. It's usually running stuff now though, or ultra marathons and stuff. I wish he was up in the hills wild camping, because that is what got me in love with this. Watching his videos, the way he presented himself on camera, he was just like a joy to watch. Go back and watch Dean Reed's old videos, they're brilliant. But when it comes to inspiration and motivation, again, it's got to be the wife. So even today, I was sat in the car procrastinating about whether I was going to get out of it or not. Parked in the car park, was chucking it down at the time, really windy. I thought I'll save it for another day, but it's my only shot this week really to get out. Messaged Jo, she phoned me up, gave me that little, not nudge, she says you don't have to go, but she said will you regret it if you don't? Will you be pulling your hair out tomorrow when you can't get out? And she's right. Now I'm here. She says it's the starting that is the hard bit sometimes. Once I'm on my way, once my bag's on my back and I'm hitting the hill, the wind's like taking the skin off your face. It's brilliant. I love all of that. It's just that little get out of the car sometimes that I think we all, well, not all of us, but I know some of us do struggle with that little thing to get you out the door. And once you get out the door, you don't regret it. I don't anyway. One of them need to go outside moments. What do you reckon to my little bit of genius that, innit? The wind's dropped a little bit anyway. Still very misty. I've just checked and there's loads more questions, so I'm gonna have a little snooze and then in the morning I'll have a go at answering a few more. What a beautiful morning. We've had a fair bit of rain. The wind wasn't too bad though. Cracking little spot this. I've never actually camped here before, but I have camped just round this corner quite a few times actually. Just there. Although it does make a change to be able to get on this pitch as well. This is a great question. So, if you could start from scratch again, would I want to? Or would I change anything? I wouldn't choose to start from scratch again, but if I had to, I'm not sure that I'd do anything different. Because it's been a proper little adventure getting to where I am now. I've thoroughly enjoyed testing out all of the kit, building one or two different setups for different things. So I've learned boatloads of stuff about different gear, what works, what doesn't, how to get the best out of what I've got. I suppose there's one or two items that I wouldn't buy again, but I would never have known that if I hadn't bought them. That was a great question by Camp Kayak Ride. And it leads quite nicely into the next one from Grizzly Gaz. Do you have any regrets transitioning from your old job to being a full-time YouTuber? Do you wish you'd transitioned sooner? And what would you do differently if you were to wind back the clock and do it all again with the knowledge that you've got now? So first things first, I've got no regrets in quitting the 9 to 5 to do the YouTube thing. Overall, it's been awesome. It's given me so much better balance in life than I ever would have had if I was still working in the factory till I was 67 or whatever it is. I'm no wealthier, there's no Ferrari. Any spare cash goes on, this kind of thing. And then that feeds the videos, feeds the YouTube channel. It's like one of those self-feeding fires. Me and Gaz do have a natter behind the scenes, and I know you actually set out to go full time right from the beginning, didn't you? Whereas for me, it never meant to be that way. It was purely by accident. I was motivated by the likes of Dean Reed, Sandy Wiltshireman, Outdoor Enthusiast 101, Luke. Not heard anything from him for a long while. All these people inspired me to get out on the hill. They gave me tips and tricks, places where to go, and I learned so much. And then when my friend challenged me to make a video, just for fun really, I really enjoyed the whole process. and just wanted to give a little bit back, just like those guys I mentioned earlier have done for me. So it was an accidental thing really, and it was just a hobby that grew into something obviously much bigger than that. It's been a slow and steady progress of around 7 years. So it hasn't been an overnight success, but it got to the point where I had the choice, where I could either go for it full time or just keep tootling along with the day job, staring at them 4 walls in that office. So I could have actually gone full time sooner, but I wanted to get some savings because I've never had any savings before. And yeah, if anything went tits up or things didn't go to plan, I could always fall back on some savings a little bit and then go and find myself another desk to sit behind doing risk assessments or whatever. But if I had to start YouTube from scratch, I've learned so much, so I don't think it would take me 7 years anyway to grow a channel the size that I've got now. But even then, I still think you need an element of luck. You know that there's systems that you can implement and patterns that you can follow to grow quite quickly. But some of that, again, depends on what your niche is as well. So I might even choose a different niche to camping if I had to start again. But again, I think it's important that you find something that you really enjoy doing and you're passionate about. And I'm passionate about tents. But there's definitely a lot more to it than just picking up the camera and pressing record. Right, last few questions. As you can see, I'm all packed away. It was one of them with the wind and rain, just get on with it. Obviously left no trace. Right, so Gary, otherwise known as IPA Ales, he's asked, what is my favourite place to go wild camping in the Lake District? So it's not any one particular place, to be honest with you, Gary. It's just anywhere around Buttermere. You can literally, from the lake, head upwards, any direction, whether that be Haystacks, Fleetwood Pike, Red Pike, Ranadale Knots, you name it. The views from up there are stunning. And I just love it up there. It's my favourite part of the lakes, I think. I'm sure you've been up there before. Mick Outdoors says, was I born with a beard? I've got a story for you there, Mick. First things first though, Mick, I just want to wish you well and hope that your treatment's going all right. So I've always been clean shaven, and probably about 3 weeks before I went on the first date with Joe, I'd started growing a beard, and I was deliberating whether I should shave it off or not. And I thought, no, I'm not going to, just in case she don't like me and I'll have to start from scratch again. So anyway, I said to her on the date, so I don't normally have this, I know if you don't like it then it's not likely to stay very much longer. And she says, I do like it. Ever since that moment she said, you can shave it off if you like, but is it worth the risk that I won't fancy you anymore? So here we are, nearly 7 years later. Right, the last one from Steamy G. If you had the team and the money to create your own dream tent, what features would you include that you've yet to see on current tents on the market? Great question that, mate. To be honest with you, I don't want to design my own tent. I'm going to leave that to the experts. There's a lot more goes into it than just saying I want this feature or that feature. There's 1 or 2 tents that just try and tick every box. There's one called the Robin's Chaser, I think. Now it looks a great tent with loads and loads of different features, but they've crammed that much into it. I think they've missed 1 or 2 obvious design flaws. I much prefer having a selection of tents that can do different jobs for different situations. It also gives me an excuse to have more than 1 tent. There's loads of different factors that goes into tent design, such as material choice, tear strengths, pole diameters, how the pole structure is, so it can take a flex or a bend. I'm going to leave the tent design to the experts, and I'm just going to enjoy playing with them. That wind is pretty brutal, but look at that view. So So I've only dropped about 5 yards away from that edge and the wind's dropped dramatically. This has been my last camp before Christmas. So if I don't see you before, just want to wish you and your family a happy Christmas. I hope you've enjoyed some of the views and camps over 2023. A massive thanks from me and Joe for all your support throughout the year. There you go. There's your Christmas present. See you next time.